it's an ink drawing or painting, I don't know. That was just a pleasant surprise. I was pleased with how it came out, and it felt good to make something good with my hands that wasn't. I didn't rely on being able to like press undo a million times for every line.
Yeah.
And I didn't ruin it at any point. Like I was just pleased and surprised that it worked out. And it then I made those drawings that I showed before. That was the ink drawing zines, and I just enjoy working like this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice discovery.
Do you feel like you're at a point where you have a process and a sort of a canon of visual devices that you own now, that you can start to reinterpret through media or anything? No? Because I would say like that still is a piece of your work. Just because you've changed the media, it still looks like it has your signature on it.
Yeah, no, that's true. But part of doing the zines was a chance to try out different processes. Like I tried to do at least every month do something different, or in between the digital ones. So that was part of it. And the other one that I showed before as well, this was like watercolor and ink. And again, I didn't completely ruin that. What a nice surprise.
Yeah.
I managed to draw people's different faces that almost look like different people. I mean, it kind of looks like the same family, but, you know, almost.
Congratulations.
So I'm quite proud of those. This is another ink one. I like how this one turned out. Yeah. I'm just pleasantly surprised when I don't ruin things still, which is a bit pathetic, but there we go. Okay.
There must be, hang on, I just wanted to ask you though, like there must be a fair amount of planning that goes into, I mean that piece you just showed us at the end there, in terms of the arrangement of all those elements, and each one seems to be, I'd like to think that you didn't just like draw them like that first time, like that lovely pot of cactuses, you must have been drawing cactuses and designing how you're going to put a bunch of cactuses in a pot in that manner before you just banged it out on that page.
Well, I didn't do much. I didn't really do much like sketching before or do roughs or anything because it was for the zines and I didn't have much time. But I kind of draw it sketchily on the page and then just keep redrawing it on the page.
Right.
Of just where things would be, and then there was just patches that I didn't really know what to do with, and I may have not done them poorly. Down here, that's not great, but yeah, so it's sort of half and half thought out and half winged.
Okay, that's interesting.
Lizzie's going to show you some beautiful
okay, I think Eleni said something a minute ago that was like it was a pleasant surprise, and this image for me was a pleasant surprise in that I'd done an interview with Rap Magazine, and then they wanted me to do an illustration that summed up my daily routine or something. And this was when I was working in North East London and living in South West London. So it was about that kind of journey that I made every day. But I did this watercolour painting, full colour, and it was this, but in colours, and it was really ugly. And I was kind of doing it, like, I'm really running out of time, but this is horrid. And then I think by accident I must have like nudged desaturate, and I was like, oh my god, that's the answer, and took all the colours away and just kind of went over it in Photoshop. So I cheated, I guess, but it's not cheating, is it? It's just a different way of working. But this was one of those things where in the end I was like, oh my god, that was exactly possibly what I wanted to do. Having thought for a second that it had all gone really wrong. So that was nice. It's always nice when you like suddenly you're like, oh god, yeah, it's that. That's what I was doing. That's what I was meant to be doing.
Do you talk to each other then about maybe like, well, I presume you talk about work a lot, would you find yourself maybe critiquing each other's work, or like talking to each other about like, have you thought about doing it differently, or even just encouraging each other to try new things? Yeah, Eleni, have a ball.
I usually go to Lizzie's room to see what she's drawing or making.
Yeah.
And then she'll be like, no, you can't, no, and then hides it.
Right.
So that's not very helpful.
Well, it's not really, is it?
But yeah, I think we've given each other helpful top tips. Top tips. Yeah, we've done top tips.
We have top tip plan. I
think we've given each other answers to some
I think
along the way.
It's like I've never lived with people who were illustrators before, and now there's three of us in this flat, and there's something kind of reassuring about it, even if you're not directly talking about specific things in work. Just, you know, knowing that other people are doing the same thing and getting on with it, and also it spurs you on. Like if I know that this one's in here beavering away and I'm watching telly on my laptop in bed, well, I should get on with something useful. I should be doing the masterpieces.
Yeah.
But
no, it's good. I mean, I think we're like 2/3 through the first year here, and like, would you guys say you have like a sense of community? Are you backing each other up? I observe that. I see that happening, but I think it's good to see it still going on at like the point you're at. Is that this is, even though it's an isolated industry, you still need that peer support, I guess.
Yes.
Even just moral support more than anything. It strikes me that you two have a lot of fun making pictures together. Makes you sound like,
well, you know, it's art fun, which is entirely misery, and then afterwards you're like, oh, that was fun doing that, wasn't it?
Amazing. Do you guys have any more questions off the back of that you want to ask? Tom?
I've got one. You're saying about, like, obviously sitting around watching like TV on your laptop and stuff. Do you like generally try and give yourself a normal working routine, or is it just a case of you draw when you're inspired, or what?
I'm like, I go back and forth on this one because I go through phases where I feel like I have to give myself a routine. I go to the studio every day and try and have working hours and then give myself a weekend. But it's such a weird thing to make something creative your full-time job, because no one is creative all the time. Sometimes you're just a person who wants to watch TV, and that's all important, like taking lots of stuff, doing other things. So I don't know if it's possible to have an actual fixed routine for more than a few weeks at a time. I just don't know. Certainly for me, I don't think I can do it. And once you realise that, like, I'm quite happy to go off for a walk, go and do something else, because I know that it will come back and I'll be able to work maybe later in the day or tomorrow or whatever, or into the night sometimes. Yeah.
But I like that. I like to have artist hours. It's nice to go out and have a walk and be like, haha, everyone else is hard at work and we get to have a nice walk and then go back and work until 11 at night. I'd rather do that, even though it does take over your life. But then I think if art isn't taking over your life, then I'm not sure I'm doing it in the first place. Maybe that's a bit much. But
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, do you find as well, like, in terms of where you are within a creative project, that certain parts of the project need some procrastination time, and you need to feel like completely like useless, and then you need other parts where you kind of. I know I've been to points where I'm like, I'm going to bed tonight, and I know tomorrow's going to be dead productive because I've got all the hard stuff out of the way, or like, you know, like you have to balance your time that way, I guess. Are you asking that because of the workload you've got on at the moment?
Yeah, because obviously we've been doing about time management and stuff, and Fred keeps saying, like, make sure you relax and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you guys do to relax?
What is that? Fights.
We start fights. We're brawling.
Okay. That's good to know. Let's move on. Street fighters. If we look at these questions, was there any others that you really wanted to touch on?
I can't remember what Lizzie's written on the list.
There was stuff about research, stuff about, I don't know.
Do you want to?
I don't know, just whatever you want to talk about. I think.
Yeah, so who has questions? Ask us a question.
Yeah, okay. More questions, guys.
Has there ever been a project that you've worked on? Because I know Lizzy was saying about that project that you really, really hated and you didn't like. Has there ever been a point in working with someone that you've actually said to them, like, I can't do this, or like you've like turned things down for whatever reason?
I don't think I've had one.
I've had one.
What's your one?
That was meant to be illustrating an app, and me and the art director, we just didn't understand each other. Everything they said, I was like, no, I mean, what? And everything I sent them, they were like, this is not right. So in the end, I think we pushed things back and forth for like a week, and then we both said, I don't think this is working. Let's call it a day. And it's the only. I think it's the only time I've like effectively lost a job.
Yeah.
But and it felt pretty crappy, I suppose, to be like, why couldn't I do that? But sometimes you just can't. Sometimes wires get crossed.
And they didn't do a job in the first
They
place.
didn't.
They chose the wrong person.
They totally chose the wrong person, and it was an entirely terrible idea. But really bad. It would have been a horrible app as well. It was awful. But yeah, there's like a revelatory moment, maybe a couple of years into freelancing, when you realise that you can say no to stuff. That if a thing doesn't interest you, you can say no. And monetarily, it's difficult, and like you have to weigh up how much you're going to hate. But if you really think you're going to hate a job, you should just say no. And if it's not going to be beneficial in a massively financial way, I suppose, just because you don't like. There's something quite difficult about tarnishing the thing that you love. Like, I love drawing and I love illustration, and if I drag it through the mud by doing crappy jobs too often, then I'm not going to love it forever, and that would be really difficult because I've got no other skills.
Can we ask you a little bit about your studies? I mean, these guys are just in their first year, so just got the ball rolling, although it's rolling pretty fast. But what were like the most like the things that you brought? The things when you think back to university, what were the really kind of transformative experiences, exercises, knowledge that really blew your mind and made you think differently about things?
Like first year of actually doing illustration, not foundation year. First year of being an illustration student.
Yeah, let's go for that.
God, well, I don't know. It makes me, maybe us, sound really old. But when I was studying illustration, like it was a completely different thing. Like there was one book about illustration that came out, and there was no blogs. So, like people didn't have blogs or even really websites. Like that sounds so it's impossible to imagine. But I can't imagine what it's like to be so surrounded by like people's blogs, Twitter and Tumblr or whatever it's now, because I feel like I wasn't that influenced by things that were going on, and I find it hard to remember what I was doing. I don't know, maybe Lizzie has a better memory.
I don't know. I don't know. I started out in fine art and I dropped out of my first course. I was doing painting and I switched to illustration because that's what I found that I actually cared about. That's what my sketchbooks were filled with, just like stories and like comic strips and stuff. So that was like my first big moment was realising that actually painting, the thing that I wanted to do for like 10 years of my life, wasn't actually what I wanted to do. So then when I got to illustration, I was sort of giddy. I was a bit off my face. I'm just like, oh my god, this is where I'm meant to be. And like, I got really overexcited, and I got carried away. I'm going to blog, let's start a website. And I had all my stuff sorted by the end of my second year, and it's like 4 years in Edinburgh, which was good. But I think the most important, I remember one of my tutors asking me, like, why I'd done a specific thing. What was it? Okay, so when was I a student? Like 2005, 2006. Graph paper was a big deal. I think graph paper is probably still a big deal. I think everyone goes through a graph paper.
And lecture sets.
Graph paper and lecture set, that was the next thing. And I think I'd used both graph paper and lecture set on one image. And my tutor was like, why? And I said, because I like it. And he was like, but why?
Is that like a Sarah Finelli thing? Was her final?
Yeah, I think it's probably Sarah Finelli. Yeah. But like, just suddenly realising that maybe I'd made that decision unconsciously because of the amount of stuff that I'd seen that also used graph paper and lecture set, and then being conscious from there on of using materials and composition because I wanted to, not because it felt familiar, or because I felt it looked like an illustration. That was a pretty big thing, I suppose. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it does. I think it also lines up with what Eleni was saying about not kind of getting too caught up in the amount of stuff that can be seen out there. And also right at the beginning when we were talking about making work in response to who you are as people and your own like intellectual curiosities, rather than that kind of that sense of wanting to belong to a larger community of artists, I suppose.
Yeah.
Trendy knobheads.
Yeah, avoid them.
Yeah.
They're very boring.
Quite right. Let's have a look at the sheet, see if we could do one more before we finish. The hardest question here really is, what's the difference between illustration and great illustration? Have you had a thought? Think about that?
I've got kind of an answer. Shall you answer? I think it's the same as any other art, which is if it has a strong authorial voice behind it, then it has a particular power. So you might have like the rubbish illustration that I showed you, I think is just sort of a nothing that exists in between two things. It's not what I would like to draw, it's just sort of serving quite a boring purpose. It's there to make a page not be a page full of text.
Yeah.
That's fine, but that's not very interesting. Whereas if you have a chance to do something that's more, that is, speaks to you a bit more, but is also serving something else, then you can make something that's more powerful, I think. And perhaps great. Perhaps even great.
Yeah, perhaps. That's brilliant. Thanks, Leah.
Yeah. Do you have a different answer?
Probably not.
This is what great illustration looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful.
Yeah, great. I think it's that stuff that kicks you in the gut that feels like it's really there's precision, I suppose, not in any kind of technical visual sense, not like realism or any of that nonsense, but more
like specific.
That exactly, when you find exactly the thing that you need to communicate and you communicate that, it has to explain something. A great illustration has to relay a message almost without the text. Like an illustration will work in tandem with writing, with an article, with a book, with whatever. But if you can look at it on its own, I suppose, and understand what it's about, then you've done something right. But I don't know if that's great. That's competition.
Okay, the word was open to interpretation. I think they're both great answers. Right, well, thanks guys. We've been chatting for 40 minutes, I think. I wanted to know if you guys want to know anything else from these two. Ask them any questions. Yeah, Tom?
Tumbleweed.
With Lizzie, your work, you've got like quite a lot of texture in it, which must take a lot of time. Is there anything like that you do to like keep yourself going, like to listen to music or?
It's mostly music. Occasionally I'll go through a phase of podcast, but mostly it's music. But actually the texture thing is cheating, I guess. Unless it's like pencil drawings. It's just about switching off, I suppose, and putting on, finding the right album and like just getting into that kind of autopilot thing where you're just drawing without even thinking, and I love that, and that's really rare. When it actually happens and you're just totally in the moment. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Did I say that?
We are appalling people.
We are appalling people. Yeah. But sometimes it takes a long time.
Why not watch an entire season of a television show on one day?
Yeah.
You can do it. Believe me.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Also, Netflix and Love Film, tax deductible because it's research. Top tip.
Nice. Good stuff. Any more questions?
Thank you for that. That's a good topic.
I was going to say, I was looking at like quite a lot of your work collating earlier on, and I was just wondering, like, do you know when you, because obviously like with the ink drawings that you were doing, do you use like any masking or anything for that, or do you literally just like freehand it with a brush? Because the lines are so neat on the edges.
I don't, but purely because I've been too lazy to buy masking fluid, and it's on my eBay watch list right now, and I haven't got around to buying it yet. But no, I don't. That's what I mean by being surprised and not ruining it. I every time I'm not breathing, and then like, oh, it went fine, okay, and then I try and do the next bit. So yeah, I'm as surprised as you are.
She's so neat. Horrendously neat. It makes me really nervous.
It makes her quite angry actually. She comes in and is angry at me for being neat about things. I don't care.
thank you for your process post on your blog, Eleni, is really useful. I think
yes.
it's interesting in Eleni's work. If you have a look at her blog, there's a really good post on there about how she makes it, so it's worth having a look at it. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, guys, I think we'll wrap it up for now. I will, I'll just say thank you. We could probably give him a round of applause, that'd be nice. Okay, and we'll wave you off, we'll wave you goodbye. Okay? Have a nice afternoon. Thank you, guys. Cheerio.